Good day and welcome to what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now today I want to talk about one of Russia's neighbours, Finland. It's an EU member, recently joined NATO, having been a neutral country since the end of World War II. Now Finland throughout the Cold War had an excellent trading relationship with the Soviet Union, which continued on when Russia, its successor, with whom it shares a huge land border. Even after it joined the European Union, trade between the two countries was still excellent. Russia was Finland's largest trading partner, and many Finnish companies were active in Russia, particularly in the forestry, timber and woodworking sectors. Plus Russia was its major energy supplier and even built its nuclear plants. All of this came to an abrupt end when Finland decided to join NATO and then get involved in the imposition of sanctions which have decimated the various sectors of its economy. This is due to the sanctions that have had a dramatically negative effect on Finland and have had almost no impact on Russia whatsoever because it's been able to replace everything exported to Finland to other countries. Now it seems, having destroyed much of their industrial economy, causing record numbers of company bankruptcies, Helsinki is going to embark on yet another round of serious damage to what's left of their economy. Now the Finnish authorities are preparing to take action that they've previously avoided. Helsinki is contemplating giving its support for pan-European restrictions on the purchase of Russian nickel. Now, according to Finland, this would have a seriously negative effect on the West. It seems like the Finnish government has developed a sense of shame regarding the influence of Russia's money that it earns, and it's led it to make this decision. The European Union is currently preparing its 15th package of sanctions against Russia. Yeah, 15th, and despite the fact that the other 14 did serious damage to the EU as boomerang sanctions, they're now looking to another. That's how stupid these are. Now, the new sanctions will be restrictions on a number of sectors, including agriculture, metallurgy, nuclear energy, chemicals and banking. Plus, the plan is to prohibit the supply of industrial raw materials, including aluminium, steel, uranium, titanium and nickel, from Russia to Europe. Well, that should pretty much finish all what's left of Europe's major industries, including engineering and manufacturing, as a large amount of the metals that Europe needs and uses are imported from Russia. Now, before I continue, I'd like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund the channel and my website, scobricksinsight.com, and to further develop it. You can do this by making a small donation, which is done by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the video screen. Everybody who donates does get a personal thank you from me. And I'm thanking you all now just for watching because I do appreciate every viewer. Now, on December the 6th, the ambassadors of the EU countries were unable to reach an agreement on this package due to the position of certain of the Baltic countries who objected to concessions for EU companies wishing to remain dealing with Russia on the metals market. However, the European Union plans to resume discussions on this in the near future. Now, according to Elina Valtonen, the head of the Finnish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, she stated that Finland is prepared to support the tightening of restrictions on imports from Russia, provided that the EU member states reach a consensus on this issue. Plus, Valtonen stated that Finland would not object to the addition of nickel to the sanctions list. Now, why is nickel significant? Well, the only and sole production facility of the Russian metals giant Norilsk nickel in the European Union is situated in Finland in the city of Harjavalta. Now, Nickel Harjavalta processes entirely Russian raw materials, including those sourced from the nearby Kola Peninsula mining and metallurgical company mines. It's one of the largest plants of its kind in the world. It's the largest in Europe. And it accounts for 5% of the world's nickel production. Yeah, 5% of the world's nickel production that's used in so many industrial processes is just across the Russian border in Finland. Now, the enterprise is the key driver of the city of Harjavalta, which is a population of about 7,000, many of whom work at the plant or are working for companies dependent on it. Now, the city's mayor, Hannu Kuzelsta, highlighted the critical importance of the plant's activities for the local authorities and residents. So the Finnish authorities have so far left the plant alone since the start of sanctions. But it was announced in March last year that Norilsk at Harjavalta planned to double production of some 65,000 to 140,000 tonnes of nickel per year. Now, the Finnish State Centre for Economic Development has acknowledged the significant economic importance of this plant. It was also noted that the expansion of production will help meet the growing demand for materials for electric batteries, essential for the new green economy. Now, the copper attained as part of the process of the copper-nickel ore is then supplied from Finland to the global market. In fact, a battery cluster was established in Harjavalta last year. The first battery materials of the plant in the EU by the German company BASF was built next to the Norilsk nickel production facility because it was anticipated that the Norilsk nickel subsidiary would provide the necessary raw materials for the plant. However, in April, BASF announced it would be laying off the employees of the Finnish enterprise due to the uncertainty created by the putting back of the launch date. I mean, as recently as March of this year, Ville Rydman, Finland's Minister of Economic Affairs, voiced opposition to sanctions against the Harjavalta plant. An effective sanction is one that has a greater impact on those it targets and not those that have introduced it. Well said about the boomerang sanctions. Now, the import ban of nickel and fertiliser from Russia has not been introduced by the EU for a number of reasons, mainly because it hurts them. In this scenario, the consequences for Finland and Europe are going to be far more detrimental to them than they are for Russia. Imposing an embargo at this time would significantly hurt the West. It would be unwise to demonstrate disapproval of Russia's actions by causing harm to ourselves, Rydman says. I mean, the Finnish transport company Nurminen Logistics is currently generating a large amount of revenue by transporting the imported Russian raw materials, namely nickel and fertiliser. I mean, its results for 2023 show that Norilsk Nickel, Harjavalta, had the highest profits of the few Russian enterprises that have remained operational in Finland. In fact, its operational profits are higher than most companies in Finland. As reported by the newspaper Alanti, an investigation into the country's trade register reveals that Norilsk Nickel's income for the previous year was 96 million euros with a turnover of 1.45 billion euros. So overall, Norilsk Nickel Harjavalta's performance stands in stark contrast to the broader Finnish economic landscape, which has faced significant challenges, to put it mildly. Plus, the head of the Finnish Foreign Ministry has indicated that Helsinki is considered divesting from the asset. Now, according to Leonid Kazanov, who's an expert in industry and energy, the shutdown will have a significant impact on the metallurgical sector across Europe. When the European Union's ban on nickel imports from Russia will force them to import from other countries and will decimate the ferrous metal industry in Europe. Consequences for Finland will be even more severe. You've got to have mass layoffs in its ferrous metallurgy and related industry, a drop in tax revenues, and a lot of very unhappy people. I mean, Finland's whole metallurgical industry is directly dependent on nickel shipments from Russia. The share of Russia's nickel imports into Finland is over 97%. Now, it also acknowledges that the EU remains significantly reliant on nickel imports from Russia. It's not limited to nickel, but also other metals, aluminium, copper, etc. And he explains this is why Russian metal producers are not included in the sanctions list. Yeah, they can be included, but what is going to happen next? What's going to happen is there's going to be an greater dependence on nickel, aluminium and other products from places like Indonesia, China, etc. I mean, it's understood that EU producers want to continue to purchase Russian nickel due to the logistics crisis around the world, particularly in the Red Sea, and increased competition with Chinese producers. After all, Finland to Russia is just across the border. But there's another crucial factor that economists have not yet addressed. Many Finns have addressed their disquiet at the continued presence in their country of a major Russian enterprise. I mean, Russia is now suddenly the enemy. I mean, this topic was addressed in another article by a Helsinki Sanomat. The newspaper notes that once the start of the special military operation in Ukraine, the Harjavalta plant, which brings jobs, money and tax revenue, has become something of a significant and controversial plant. The city has maintained a seriously discreet silence because its successful production means revenue and jobs. But in the liberal Helsinki, many Finns want to get rid of the economic benefits because they're embarrassed. They are supporting the Ukrainians, and they really want the plant gone because they support that. So they're shooting themselves in the feet again. Now it's evident that despite the prolonged imposition of sanctions, the economic reliance of the neighbouring states like Finland on Russia, even those with anti-Russian sentiments, and it's not limited to transport and logistics, but trade and the economy. Now, it's going to be necessary for the EU and the NATO countries to produce strategically important resources from around the world, and they can only get most of them from Russia, or there's going to be serious problems. And that dependence is not actually going to go away by even imposing sanctions. In fact, it's going to exacerbate the problem. I mean, the only way that Finland can sever its economic ties with Russia is to basically go back to the Stone Age. It relies on so many things. Now, it does seem that some Finnish entrepreneurs are trying to avoid this complete rupture by taking a pragmatic approach. But these businessmen are being overrun and pushed in various directions by the government and the liberal sentiment in their countries, who've denounced those who haven't severed ties and are still doing business with Russia as traitors. Now, what makes me wonder is why the Finnish now have an affinity with the banderistas in the Ukraine when they're Finno-Ugric peoples like the Hungarians and the Russian Mariel. Still, in light of these developments, Helsinki has effectively removed the necessity for Russia to retaliate for their actions. As has been astutely observed, the Finns, like other anti-Russian states, are shooting themselves in both feet and harming their own interests. The Finns are so eager to virtue signal their Russia-phobic stance that they're willing to bankrupt their country and they're detrimental to their own interests. Now, should the Finns decide that they don't want Russian nickel, they'll be removing themselves from the primary source of this raw material for Europe, and the Harjavalta plant will be forced down. That will not help them in any way. In fact, all it's going to do is lose jobs, revenue, tax revenue. And the plant itself is not that important because nickel will still go from Russia to elsewhere. And it's ironic the Finns themselves are willing to help Russia implement counter-sanctions. I mean, in September of this year, the head of the Russia state, Vladimir Putin, did think about introducing certain restrictions on the supply of nickel, uranium and titanium to countries that deemed unfriendly. I don't think he actually thought that they were actually going to do it to themselves. So, imposition of restrictions on Russian nickel, it's not a sanctions policy on Russia, it's our countries imposing sanctions on themselves. So, as they say, stupid is as stupid does, and that's the EU for you. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if you want to help me out, click on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen and make a donation. Don't forget to share, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you.